Yeah, you talk about COPD. That's interesting. I actually work at night. In addition to owning my own video production company, I work at night at Lehigh Pulmonary Associates. I work as a sleep tech, working with sleep apnea patients and COPD patients. So not only am I familiar with your particular situation, but I am also dealing with this on a daily basis. I see patients who come in who have chronic problems, who have let it go for so long, because when you're clearing $200 a week and $150 doctor's visit is something that you really feel like you can't afford unless you feel like you're dying. Then you go to the emergency room, like Senator Saunders pointed out, then we have these huge bills. Again, this is why we need a single-payer universal system, because under that system, every time you need to go to the doctor, you're covered. There's no hedging with who's going to pay this, are you eligible, are you not eligible. Everybody is covered, and it's just a matter of us as a nation working out the expenses.
Why is it that 40 people in this room recognize exactly what you're describing? No preventive medicine, but they'll pay to have lung surgery, and 435 members of the United States House of Representatives can't see it. Something's not right here.
Mike, your question.
What scares me in health insurance, like right now, my personal payment to Blue Cross is $300 a month for family coverage. If they raise it to $600 a month, I'll be happy as can be. It's that much of a value at $300 a month. I don't care if they raise it to $6. They're going to raise it to something. We don't know how much yet. But if they take 45 million Americans that never work for the government, they have no insurance at all, and they want to include them in the federal employees health benefit plan, who is going to pay 45 million non-government workers' share of the health benefits? So it's at least $300 a month for 45 million people. So I mean, that's something I think they need to. In other words, I'm worried about me. That's a case like, hey, hooray for me, and you go worry about yourself. But that's a lot of people will be affected.
And the $300 a month is our share, which is 40%.
30.
On Blue Cross Blue Shield.
They pay 72%.
Yeah, the government pays 72% of the policy. We know what we pay. It's who's going to pay the 72% that the government pays.
It's a wonderful benefit.
Yeah, the fact that we have 45 to 47 million uninsured is what's causing the crisis in healthcare, along with the overly high cost of administering the system and the overly high cost of preventive medicine. We have to find a way to get coverage, care to these people. It's just as simple as that, because there is no free lunch. They're getting care. They're going into the emergency rooms. They're going into the hospitals, and they're getting free care. The hospitals are going bankrupt. And so Jeff is absolutely correct when he says that we have to have a much simpler system. Single-payer system certainly works, and I'm not opposed to that. I'm suggesting that we can take on the insurance industry, we can take on the trial bar industry, we can provide preventive care, we can require insurance companies to provide that preventive care, but we have to lower the cost, we have to simplify the system, and that's what I would propose to do, and that may very well be a single-payer system.
There's a common expression that traveling broadens your horizons, and last May, my husband and I decided that we would take a little trip to England because we needed a cultural infusion. We had quite a cultural infusion. We had a major accident while we were over there, and it wasn't because we were driving on the opposite side of the road either. We happened to be entering the Bond Street Tube Station. I was on a shopping expedition. It was raining outside. My husband and I entered the station, and he slipped and fell on some stationary stairs. He got up. He said, "I'm perfectly all right." I said, "Are you sure?" We got on the escalator to proceed down to the railroad platform. I preceded my husband. My husband was behind me. I turned around. My husband's eyes were going like this. He fell into me, and the two of us fell down a third of the way of the escalator and landed on the concrete down below. We now had the privilege of being taken to the National Health Care system at Guy's and St. Thomas Hospital in London, England. Now I'm going to tell you I had a cultural infusion. We were now in what you call universal health care. There was never any hesitancy. He had 3 orthopedic surgeons on his case. Stand up, Ken. Extend your right arm, please. 11 pins and 2 rods later. Nobody asked us.
3.5 days and 3 nights in the hospital.
Nobody asked us how we were going to pay for this. I had no idea how this was going to occur. We received excellent treatment. They were on us immediately. Single pay, my folks. Now, I don't know how we're going to work it out, but I can tell you we've got to have universal health care in this country, no matter how it comes about, how these gentlemen would solve the problem. I'm also a retired educator. You see children coming to school day after day. They have not had breakfast. We now have breakfast programs for our children. But I can't tell you how many days that some of these children did not want to admit that they did not have breakfast at home. I pulled open the drawer and the children were eating breakfast on me because I always had fruit and so forth in my drawer. Now, we have a big issue, but don't be afraid for some a big entity to take over healthcare, because we found out what it was like. I will tell you one last thing that impressed me about the UK, and it is this. We were in the emergency room, and my husband said, not realizing he was going to have surgery, asked and it said, well, what about payment of this? They said, there's no payment for Americans. This is the debt that we owe you as a result of World War II. I think they are the mother country. Annie, that's okay. The message is more important than the name.
And I appreciate that. Other questions?
2 people didn't have a chance to respond to that. To the other question.
Okay.
To the other one. What was the question?
I didn't hear a question, but you know, that's what I want for my country. That's exactly what I want for my country. And maybe you should run for United States House in 2000. I'd be happy to have you.
Listen, they've already got somebody who's too old, they've already got a woman, and they've already got a minority. Why would they want something?
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't have said that better myself. I've traveled quite a bit myself. I used to work, I was in the Army for 5 years. I was stationed in Germany. I traveled around Europe. Then I was stationed in Korea. I traveled around Asia. After that, I worked for an international wireless company. We set up networks all across North America, South America, Africa. We went to Haiti. I've been to Australia. I've been to every continent except Antarctica. And that travel experience is important. And one of the things that I get from that travel experience is I see situations like you described in Europe and in other parts of the industrial world where, particularly the issue of healthcare, this is taken care of. And then I've seen the opposite extremes. A country that is probably one of the most corrupt countries in the world is Nigeria. And I actually went to Nigeria a couple of times to set up networks. And what I saw there is heartbreaking. What you see is Nigeria is a perfect example of the ultimate extension of a pay-as-you-go society. The government is completely corrupt there, and every service from water and electricity to healthcare to actually getting any kind of representation in government is on a pay-as-you-go basis, is on a bribery basis. And what you see in Nigeria is you see these fantastically wealthy neighborhoods that could have been plucked up from Naples or Vanderbilt Beach or anywhere, surrounded by 10-foot walls, lined with concertina wire and broken glass on the outside of the walls, and the worst imaginable shanty towns, literally propped up on the walls of the rich. And this is what I don't want to see happen in this country. Now, of all of the problems that we have right now that the market is facing, we have difficulties, no doubt about it, and there's going to be suffering. But from this suffering, we have a real opportunity to get away from this every man for himself perversion of capitalism that's been practiced in this country for so long. You talked about wanting to take care of yourself, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. And this is why we have to not only adapt policies like universal health care, but we have to adapt a new mindset. that we are all Americans, that we're all in this together. Senator Saunders brought up the fact that the 45 million people who don't have health care is at the root of this problem. I would say that that's a symptom of this problem, because not all of those people are lazy individuals who aren't doing anything. Most of those people are working people who can't afford it. So again, if we can adapt the mindset, like we see, like she spoke about in Britain, where we're all in this together, we all have a collective debt to each other, and if you haven't done something for me or I haven't done something for you, there's a good chance if we take care of each other, in the future we'll be able to take care of, one will be able to take care of the other. Excuse me, so that's my long-winded answer to that.
We have been hearing from some of the political people in Congress that the answer to our health problem is to put all our other people under our federal employees program. And if they do that, it will more or less ruin our benefits that we're getting. And that would be downgrading our health care. Now, what could be done, or what do you suggest in regard to that? We, of course, are not in favor of putting everybody else under our health plan. But Congress, some of them are determined to do that. But it really would ruin our benefit programs as we have it today. So I would just like to know what you think would be a better solution. Of course, some of you have covered that already. But I just hope that you, if you get in office, will see that they don't downgrade us. Thank you.
Do you have any more comments on that? I have one more question if you don't. Okay. One of the proposals in the last Congress that had a lot of bipartisan support but never got to the floor was about our paying our health care benefits, our $300 a month, on pre-tax dollars rather than post-tax. Federal employees that are currently employed, it is pre-tax dollars for them. As soon as you retire, it isn't, which means in addition to going to a lower salary, you're also losing a tax benefit that you had as long as you were actively employed. And this bill, while it had a lot of people signing on to support it, it never got out of committee. Would you commit to getting this bill or the similar bill that will be reintroduced next term out on the floor?
The short answer to that is yes, absolutely. Like I said, ultimately what we want to see is we want to see a single-payer universal health care system. But I realize that there's a pretty strong opposition. We've got the drug companies, we've got the insurance lobby, we've got the trial attorneys that we've got to go up against. And I think the reason that bill never got out of committee had to do with a couple of things. Number one, it had to do with which party was the majority at the time.
No, it's been on both.
Right.
Both parties have done that.
Let me rephrase that. It has to do with the party that's in charge at the time, because the problem here is that we have this partisan political system. The problem that we have is if you elect a Republican or if you elect a Democrat, as individuals, no matter how noble their intentions are, they're ultimately beholden to what their party will is. So that's why it's really important that we elect a truly independent voice this year. And the options that we have, Senator Saunders said that if you vote for anybody else but a Republican, you're throwing your vote away. Don't believe it. We have a four-way race this year. The winner of this race could conceivably be someone with 25% plus one vote. And this is how democracy is supposed to work. You're supposed to have more than two choices. You are supposed to have representation that represents you on the issues, not representation that represents a particular party's point of view. So again, when you go and you vote this November, don't be scared off with the idea that you're wasting your vote. As long as you vote your conscience, you will never ever be wasting your vote.
You were talking about the federal program.
You're not on. Premium conversion.
Sorry.
Premium conversion.
Premium conversion is what Ted's talking about.
Okay, yeah. And I apologize for that. I was getting a little confused as to what question we were addressing. You obviously need more of a tax break when you retire than you do while you're still working. So I would support that legislation so that you could pay with pre-tax dollars and have that tax benefit when you retire. There are a couple things I wanted to add to that. First of all, I am a Republican. I'm running with no party affiliation. And what that basically means is that we have 2 Republicans running. It's the first time in the history of Florida that we've had 2 Republicans running in the general election. 50% of the voters in this district, in this congressional district, are Republicans. And I would submit to you that a Republican is going to get elected. It's either going to be Connie Mack or it's going to be me. And I will tell you, Connie Mack refuses to come to any events. He's here in town. He's here because Congress is on vacation and he's here campaigning. But he won't come to this event. I was at a military officers association with these 2 gentlemen on Saturday. He refuses to come to that. We were in Lehigh Acres on Saturday for another campaign event. He simply refuses to come and talk to the citizens. Not only is it important for you to hear from him, but it's important for all of us as candidates to hear from you, to hear what the issues are. I've learned an awful lot today, especially the story about the health care in England. These are things that are important for elected officials to hear. And so I'm here to ask for your support. I will continue to represent you the way I have. I think everyone in this room knows that I'm accessible. If you call me, you're going to get a call back. And I'll be here. I live here. I'm invested in this community. My kids go to school here. And I appreciate your support in November.
You want to make a closing statement, just end and finish up?
Oh, closing statement?
Yeah, and then just finish up.
Okay, real quickly, we're talking about equity and parity again. You pay it with after-tax dollars, but retired police officers and firefighters can exclude from income up to $3,000 a year for health benefits. That's not quite $300 a month, but it's very close. So if we just tweak the tax law a little bit to offer you the same parity and equity that firefighters and police officers enjoy, then you would also be paying with pre-tax dollars and save a little bit on your income tax. So, that having been said, I'm so delighted that Senator Saunders told you he was a Republican. He's quoted by the Naples Daily News to say that he is a Republican, he has Republican values, and that if elected, he will caucus with Republicans. Well, I'm here to suggest to you this morning, friends, that if you elect either Senator Saunders or Congressman Mack, you won't see anything change. Things will continue along the status quo. I also wonder why he didn't run head up against Congressman Mack in a Republican primary. The question begs to be answered. If you are so accessible, then why wouldn't you just take on Congressman Mack in the Republican primary? He chose not to do that, and that's why he's on the general ballot with Congressman Mack, the other Republican, Robert Neal, the Democrat, and Mr. George, who I believe is the Green Party.
I'm independent, no party affiliation.
Independent, no party affiliation. Please forget. Please forget. I covet your vote in November. I want you to vote for me because I want to represent you in the United States House of Representatives. We have to change the direction of this country. Its country is going down a primrose path to its own destruction. We're about to follow the path of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic when they collapsed upon the weight of their own debt in the 80s. We have to change that before it's too late. So I would encourage you each, please, when you go to the ballot box, examine the 3 names on the second race. The second name you'll find is Robert Neal. Robert Neal is a Democrat, and it's good to be a Democrat this year. I've had a good time being a Democrat this year. But I want to represent you, not myself, in the United States House of Representatives. Thank you for having me here this morning.
I think it's pretty clear from the fact that the three of us are here and that Representative Mack isn't here, that we're all running against him first and foremost. And when you have a situation where someone comes up and they're running against an incumbent, we all basically just say the same thing. They say, trust us, this is a vote for change, we're going to go up there and we're going to fight corruption. The question you have to ask yourself is, how do you verify that? Now, you may have noticed that Damien has been back here the whole time quietly recording this on videotape. The reason for that is what we're doing with this campaign is something different. I want to make sure that you are guaranteed access and that we have complete transparency, integrity, and accountability from whoever goes up there. So what we're doing is we're trying to use the new media in a way that's never been done before. Not only will you be able to call me and talk to me when I'm at my office, but we'll also be available online as much as possible. And with this videotape, what we do is every event that I go to, every meeting that I have, we videotape it from start to finish. Then we make that video footage available to you on the web, so that there's no question of what I say to one group and to another group. There's no question of what kind of deals I'm getting into. And what we're doing on the campaign trail is exactly what we're going to do in Washington, D.C. If I'm elected as your representative. Because the bottom line is not only do I want to be your voice in Washington, D.C., but I want to be your eyes and ears as well. And if you really want to change things in Washington, it's not a matter of just changing the candidates that are up there. It's a matter of truly changing the way things are done. And we can't do that without you. Thank you.
I took it that you did your...
Yeah, I think I...
Okay, very good. Before we dismiss all of you, we have a 50-50. And if you haven't purchased a ticket, it supports our Alzheimer's Fund. And we're in the process of working toward, what, $9 million that we want to have for Alzheimer's. Not just from this chapter, that is the organization that NARFE supports. Oh, I need one other thing from you. How many of you are going to be working at the polls on election day?
Remember, you only want to count your chapter.
Oh, okay. If you're from Cape Coral, do not raise your hand because I want the number on my chapter. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 of ours are working. Jim, you've got the number written down, right?
No.
How many? 3.
Buell was talking.
Okay, Dorothy?
$33 altogether.
Oh, you do? Okay, we got another one in here.
We got a whole bunch coming up.
I didn't know you were selling
Watch this.
Maybe I'll consider hiring these two.
I already had to give that information.
I need a good accountant anyhow.
Give me 2. You can get here.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're not going to win.
I'm going to give it a try.
Hi, Joey. Yeah, how are you? Got everything
Yes, you were. As soon as you said that, everybody started pulling out their wallets. Thank you.
You want to send me?
You can't because you're supporting us.
Oh, that is?
If we don't move it over here, we're gonna have the kitchen.
Much better. And that hot water forces me to catch anyhow.
It's not on. It's not on. The light isn't on. The light isn't on.
Hey, be quiet.
There we go.
Behind you.
I'm sorry, we're still gonna have.
Honey, we can't. They got to get out here.
How about you all come over this way? Okay, well, come on, let's go this way.
How are we going to do this?
No, I'm trying to get away from the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
She
So
doesn't want
we're
the
all
kitchen.
moving down.
I don't want the kitchen in there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at the last 5 numbers are 11412.
Just give me a minute.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll see you all the next week.
See you tomorrow.
We'll be there.
Thanks for having us. It's okay. As long as they remember it after I leave, that's the main thing. My middle name is actually Peter, so I have 3 first names.
Great person.
Thanks for having us. I really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
inviting us. We're very grateful. Always enjoy a chance to be here. Thank you. Here.
I won. I'm on the 33 house. I got the
retail.
and I got the money.
Right.
Oh, that's all right too.
Are you going down to the studio tomorrow for the NPR form?
We're gonna be down here. Okay.
We'll see
I
if
can't dress for radio.
I know. I got to conserve my dry cleaning bill somehow here, so it's good we're on radio
I
tomorrow.
was going to dress for radio tomorrow. That's not true. I try to only wear one shirt a day, so I'll be dressed in the morning. I'll be going home from marathon. No.
It was nice meeting you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for inviting us today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
No, my concern. I loved it.
Thanks for inviting us.
Medicare pay for.
Thank you very much.
If they are diabetic, my husband can't hear, they're looking for hearing. I have a request. Or nobody can address the fact that I decided to get a stimulus check. I'd like solar on my house instead. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Okay.
We deal with
Because
one of the things we're doing in the clinic that I work
sense to
at
me.
is Medicare is always changing the
It
certification.
saves the oil, it saves the environment, I have to pay less, and I just think it makes more
And it
sense.
puts people to work.
Exactly, and it makes more sense. So give me solar for my
A
house.
lot of truth.
I mean, mean, most of the illegal immigrants, they don't have any more protection than we do. Unfortunately, you know, I mean, you're going to get taken care of if you have an emergency. You know, if you get, God forbid, yeah, you know, well, for me, to be honest with you, I have been in insurance since 1999. So that was going to be my slogan, was elect Jeff George, I need the insurance.
My husband's covered under NARFE, but I work for a medical supply company. And even when I worked, like, they paid for our retirement and they paid for all my medical. So I never went under his plan because he pays so much money. And if I went under his plan, he would pay more for family. So I just left it the way it was. Because we wanted to verify the case. Okay.
It's nice meeting you.
Stay here.
I think this went well. Terrible opening. I didn't realize she had started the clock when I was standing there.
I think this was one of your best.
Yeah. So, see, I always tell you, I'm a terrible opener, but get me somewhere in the middle and closing time, I can do well. Remember that if I left a bad first impression with any of you out there. I'm really a great guy. Just got to get to know me.
Are you eating with us tonight?
I don't know when it's on his calendar, to be honest with you.
Okay, it's from 12 to 1. It's
Oh, what are you talking
the
about?
NPR interview tomorrow. It's the call-in show on NPR.
Oh yeah, but I don't know if I don't know if he's going to the studio or if he's calling in.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Bert and I will be down to the studio.
Okay. Okay. I'm telling you, you know how the calendar is. I'm lost. I have to look every day because people will call and they're like, okay, is he going to be this? And unless I have the calendar right in front of me, I don't know what day it is anymore.
Oh, I'm the same.
You know, I mean, I have no idea if we're still. And then it seems like this just happened like 2 days ago. I had something that happened in the morning, and this was later that night. I thought it happened like 3 days before. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it just seems like it's just so packed. You know, everything just keeps going and going and going.
I know Saturday felt like that.
Oh, yeah.
I was uploading video and I was like, is this today?
Yeah, I know.
It was like a week ago.
I know, that's exactly what I'm
just go
talking
to
about.
lunch.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's go. See how Chuck's doing over here.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
I'm glad to see you doing better.
I've got about 98+%. I still haven't straightened her hand out. I didn't do anything. And the doctor said, he said, you may never straighten her on at all. But he says, as long as you can move it around. But listen, being right-handed, I could not brush my teeth, I couldn't tie my shoes, I couldn't comb my hair. And I went to the bathroom, my wife had to take care of it, I couldn't do anything.
I'm left-handed. I burned my hand years ago when I was younger, and so I had the big, giant, snow cone around my hand for like a month, and I couldn't do anything.
Well, now, when I left England, they had a soft caster, and I worked, and when I came back home, I got home on a Thursday, and I had to call my primary, so I had an appointment the following week. He set me up with the orthopedic surgeon here in Fort Myers for a week later, so I had that soft cast for about 3 weeks, and then when we got to the orthopedic surgeon, they put me into a brace, and I wore that for about 7 weeks, and then finally, and I went to therapy 2 days a week there, plus doing 5 times a day at home, and I still do. He said, continue doing it.
That's good. It's when you said you had I've almost gotten killed so many times in London and in Australia. Not from the driving. I'm fine when I'm in the car, but crossing the road, you have that look right and then left impulse, and I've done that so many times. I look right, start to walk across the street, and almost get hit by the cab coming from the left.
Well, like I was telling you, I said I was a civilian employee with the Department of the Army. I was a broadcast major in college, and then took a job at Kansas State University teaching broadcasting classes. and then went to work with the Department of the Army as a civilian, as a television producer director, and then became chief of television, and finally a training support officer. And I supervised.
When were you in, or when were you doing this?
From 1972 till I retired 2001.
Okay. So actually, you were in. I was in from '87 to '92. That's when I was in Germany for 3 years, and then I was in.
Because I was there right when they had big Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and like I said, I was one of three civilians on the commanding general staff. So I got to listen. I knew things that nobody else did.
That's always a nice position to be in. You know, the best thing about being with the general staff, the food.
Well, yeah, but he's a civilian. You know, I didn't leave the post, but I went through all of these. I went through executive leadership development. Army Management Staff College was the equivalent of the commanding general staff college. Hey,
That works.
good. Nice meeting you. Good luck.
I'll let you get some food here. Are you eating?
Yeah. Good luck.
Take care. Thanks.
Yeah.
So you $3, you say?
Yeah.
And what'd you have, hon? Diet Coke or?
Diet, yeah.
Did you ever have to work for a living?
Just remember on election day.
I will.
Take care. You guys ready to roll?
Yeah.
Without the filter and trying to adjust the iris manually.
Well, it's fine now.
Okay.
It was just it had a blue tint to it.
Okay.
And I don't know where that came from. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's just the way that one's. All right. Today is October 12th?
13th.
13th. Thank you. Today is October 13th. We're here at Buddy Freddy's in North Fort Myers, Florida. We had a really great forum today. I got off to a terrible start, but I think we managed to recover it from it. One thing that I was really happy, I was doing a little jig inside, is that we got Bert Saunders to admit that he wasn't opposed to a single payer plan. That is music to my ears for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm glad to hear that, because that means, of course, in the unlikely event that I don't win, and maybe he picks it up from Connie Mack, that we've got at least 3-1 now that are favoring some form of universal health care. So I think that's good news, and I think that will put the screws further on Connie Mack, and hopefully we have a lot of Republican constituents here in this district that realize how important it is to have single-payer universal health care, and if we don't, well, we'll see how that affects their vote. Good?